everybody's waiting on that, and that's because of the relationships that I've
Okay, I want us to talk a little bit about Sabrina. I have become a fan of Sabrina and got to know Sabrina through social media, as you were just speaking about the importance of social media and keeping those connections that way. Tell us about Sabrina and how Sabrina came into your life.
absolutely. Sabrina has her own fan club. And so that I don't get in trouble, her name is Sabrina Latrice Louise, and it is hyphenated, Hiller. So that's her full name. So I became a right leg above the knee amputee. It will be 10 years in August of this year. Still, I have moments where it still seems like yesterday. Absolutely positively changed, uprooted, turned around my life. And one of the very first pieces of advice that I received from another amputee, there was this program called Peer Visitor. And so my peer visitor, while I was still in a hospital, came in to see me, and she was wearing a prosthesis, and she was walked in without any assistance. And she too was a teacher at another college. And so the idea behind it was to say, you're going to be able to get out of this hospital. At some point, you'll get your prosthesis and you'll be able to move on and continue with your life. Get this pity party over with. Hey, I'm your example that you're going to get through this. And so one of the pieces of advice she told me, she says, when you get out of here, you're going to have so many different types of medical appointments. You're going to have physical therapy. You're going to have a doctor's appointment about pain management. You're going to have psychology appointments. You're assigned a psychiatrist once you get out of the hospital, because this is a life-altering moment. And so she said, so that they don't become so clinical, you should name your prosthesis once you get it, so that they don't say your prosthetic device and we need to inspect your prosthesis, and they'll start to call it by name. And I kept that information in the back of my head. So we fast forward several months. I'm out of the hospital. I'm at home. I get fitted. I bring Sabrina home, or I bring my prosthetic device home. And my goddaughter was from out of town, because I lived in Missouri all by myself. So my family had come from Northwest Indiana to visit me. And my goddaughter, who was about, I want to say she was 6 years old, said, oh, KK, I am supposed to give my prosthesis a name. What should I name her? And when I was a little girl, before I became shy, people tell me that I was quite sassy. I was a ballerina and a tap dancer. And so my goddaughter reminds me so much of who I was. She was sassy. She put her hand on her hip and she looked that leg that was green, because it's my favorite color. She looked that green leg. She was leaning up against the wall, up and down, and she goes, Sabrina. I said, okay, do you know a Sabrina? Where? I think Sabrina's like a good witch or a bad witch or something. Where you get that from? Because we don't have anybody in our family named that. Where'd that name come from? And she goes, she looks like a Sabrina. And it stuck. And it stuck. And I not only did my doctor's appointments become about Sabrina, not only did they use it, but if I had an appointment where I didn't wear her, they were asking, well, where's Sabrina? I'm like, I'm here for me. You ready to take my blood? And you asking, where is this Sabrina? You do know she's sick, but I think the epitome of it was that not only did my doctors and physical therapists and all of the clinicians that were in my life at the time latch on to that. But so did my family and my friends and my social media contacts, my church family. And that's when I really knew I was onto something. I was sitting at church one Sunday and I was still using a walker. And so I would sit in on the aisle and I would put my walker in between me and the next seat. And so I would get there early so people wouldn't have to step over me or anything. And I remember seeing this lady run from across the church and she was yelling, Sabrina, Sabrina. Now, there is another lady at our church named Sabrina. So I thought for sure she was going after her. But she crossed the entire church, came and stood next to me and looked over at my leg and said, "Oh, just here to see what show Sabrina's on today and to make sure she was okay." It was like, I don't even know this woman. But she knew Sabrina and knew that Sabrina liked to change her shoes up and look nice and cute. And she said she just needed to make sure Sabrina was okay. And I said, thank you. And I want to make sure that people know how important that was that my community embraced her. Because honestly, between Sabrina, my psychiatrist, and God, and my community, that saved my life. It really did. Sabrina was my buffer. When I felt my worst and had my worst days and thought about how, I could just run off the road or how nice it would be to overdose on all this pain medication and stuff that I have, or how about getting hit by a train, or I just want to be put out of my misery. I would channel who I used to be, that sassy girl and my goddaughter through Sabrina. And it gave me life. It gave me my life back. And now I can't get rid of her. Sabrina is the star in the family.
Thank you for sharing that and being vulnerable and sharing the impact and how this is another example of innovation and how to innovatively take something that's inanimate, but use it to help facilitate self-care.
Absolutely. It has allowed me to have conversations with people that you never would have had. And I struggled with returning to work and getting back out there because I was fearful that people would then look at me as, oh, there's that handicapped lady, versus here is this hospitality educator and profession. Because I had worked a lifetime honing my craft. I've got books. I've been through the trenches. I've cleaned 16, 26 rooms in a day. I've paid my dues. And you mean to tell me now all of that's gone because I now am someone with a disability? So I held on really tight to not letting my disability be in the forefront. But when I saw how Sabrina, people loved her, and we began to have conversations again about being a workaholic, being a woman, being a Black woman, a one without any children who wasn't married, and how you could have a situation like me, which is I was such oblivious to anything else going on in my life, living in a town where I didn't know anyone. All I did was worked on my doctorate, worked on my teaching, honing that craft until I didn't pay attention to what was going on with my own body. And before you knew it, went to the doctor, she prescribed some medication for me.